Hi guys. I dropped my glasses on the floor somewhere, and I can't reach them. So I'm going to try to read out here. I should be able to see fine. I haven't read a story to you guys in a good while, because as you know, I was on a bad stomach flare-up, but I'm off of the flare-up now, thank goodness, and feeling myself again. So I thought I would get back to reading you guys some stories. So we're going to read in my Dreams and Miracles book today by Anne Spangler. These are all true stories. Oh, and again, reminding you guys of Operation Christmas Child. I made a video about it if you need more info. It's on my YouTube, and it should be titled Operation Christmas Child. Very good project to do for Christmas, to share the love of Christ. And it's a very good activity to do with your children as well. Children love to do it. And this stuff you can order offline for free, except for the shoe boxes, but you can always go to the Dollar Tree and buy your own for $1. Like, that's how I always did mine. Or if you got a shoe box at your house already, you can just use a shoe box. But I think I've heard this story somewhere before. I know I didn't read it out of here because we are reading these all together for the first time, but I've heard this story, I believe, by the title. It sounds familiar. So if I'm thinking if it's the right one, it was a really good one. But it's by Eric Metaxas, and it's called The Dream of the Golden Fish. And as always, I will start off by reading you guys the introduction. As one writer has said, trying to figure out what Eric Metaxas is going to do next is like sticking a pushpin into a cyclone. A graduate of Yale, Eric is the former editorial director for Rabbit Ears Productions, where he wrote scripts for children's audio and video products narrated by the likes of Mel Gibson, Robin Williams, and Michael Keaton, an award-winning author who cut his literary teeth in the prestigious Watteau and MacDowell writing colonies. Eric's writing has appeared in such venues as New York Times Sunday Magazine and Atlantic Monthly. In recent years, he has written screenplays, sitcom scripts, short fiction, human books, and children's books. In 1988, he had a dream that symbolized a new beginning in his life. Now we'll get into Eric's story. I have always loved to fish, especially in winter. I particularly liked ice fishing. For me, it was a thrill to dangle bait in a dark, cool waters and then bang the thread, a living creature, through the small opening from one side of the frozen world to the next. So it is hardly surprising that this image of a frozen lake took on a more symbolic meaning for me while I was undergraduate at Yale, searching for answers to the meaning of life. I should probably begin by telling you that I am the son of Greek Orthodox parents. When I was a child, my father would point to bumper stickers displaying a fish symbol and explain that early Christians used the fish as a secret symbol for Christ. Well, yeah, I knew that. Because the Greek word for fish is an acronym for Jesus Christ, the Son of God, our Savior. So the image of a fish was important to me, even as a young child. Still, I was never more than nominal when it came to matters of faith. At Yale, I began to search for some kind of grand synthesis of scheme or system that would encapsulate and express the purpose and meaning of life. I had read a bit of Freud and Jung and was fascinated by their ideas about the unconsciousness. It seemed to me that what other people called God was actually...
Avast virus database has been updated.
Thank you, Avast. It seemed to me that what other people called God was actually the collective unconsciousness of wild, unpredictable, hidden side of the human personality. The more I read, the more I began to develop an image in my mind. I envisioned a frozen lake in which the ice represented the conscious mind and the water beneath it, the unconsciousness. The point and purpose of life was to drill through the conscious part in order to reach the unconscious. Once this was done, the ice would be transformed into a membrane connecting the worlds of the conscious and the unconscious, and bang, you'd be a whole healthy person, reconciled to yourself, as it were. A lot of big words in this one. My career beyond Yale looked rather bright. An English major, I had won 2 of the most coveted senior prizes for fiction. I foolishly expected to be published in the New Yorker and to have written a successful novel by the age of 23 or 24. It didn't happen that way. Instead, I lost my place. Alright, instead, in the space of 3 years, I sold 2 humor pieces to the Atlantic Monthly and a short story to another magazine, hardly enough to pay the rent and stock the refrigerator, let alone achieve new heights of literary brilliance. Despite my aspirations, I fit the portrait of a starving artist rather well. I was barely surviving, frustrated, and depressed. In 1987, I moved back home so I could sort out what I was going to do next. After graduating from Yale, my immigrant parents had expected me to have the world by the tail. They had little patience with a 24-year-old son searching for himself, who had no money, no career, and few prospects. I couldn't imagine things getting worse, which only illustrated how limited my imagination could be. Desperate for work, I accepted a position at Credit Carbid as a proofreader. The job was utter torture. I was approximately 1/10 of a mile from the nearest window, and I thought I would lose my mind, spending endless hours poring over manuals with nothing but column after column of numbers. While I was at Union Carbide, I made friends with a co-worker who was a devout Christian Episcopalian, actually. I had known several Episcopalians at Yale, and they seemed safe enough. So I started asking him questions that had been bothering me, questions about the meaning of life and my place in it. We started having lunch together fairly regularly, and he would tell me about his own deep faith. Still, I was wary. I didn't want to go overboard with this religious stuff, but I began praying rather half-heartedly that God would reveal himself to me if in fact he actually existed. Soon after, I had a dream that I was ice fishing on Candlewood Lake near my home in Danbury, Connecticut. It was one of those absolutely glorious winter days where the sun is low and intensely golden and bright, and the sky is an amazing blue. As I was peering into the hole chopped in the ice, I reached down and pulled out the most beautiful fish I had ever seen, a bronze-collared pike that was more than 2 feet long. As I lifted it, though, to look at it, the sun shone on it, making it look like gold, and then I realized that no, it actually was gold. It was a golden fish, and it was alive. In the dream, I knew that that fish was Christ. I just knew right away, and as I held this golden fish to my breast, I knew that it was over, the painful search, the struggle, the depression. He'd come to me, just as I'd prayed he would. He was in my arms now, and he was mine, and I was filled with his amazing joy, and I was just beaming. The next day, I confided my dream to my friend at work. When he asked what I thought it meant, I told him I knew what it meant. I had accepted Jesus. It was over. I was no longer searching, no longer alone, no longer praying to a God who might not exist. And as I told him that, the joy that erupted inside me in the dream filled me again. I'll never forget it. What especially amazes me is that I had simply wanted to drill a hole through the ice to pierce the conscious world in order to reach the unconscious. But God had actually one-upped me. He had decided to create an opening in my soul, so to speak, to forge a connection between the natural world and the supernatural. And out of this place between two worlds, He would allow me to draw the gift of a living golden fish, the gift of His Son. The identical dream could have been given to someone else, and it would have meant nothing. But God, in order to communicate His love, chose to use images intensely personal and meaningful to me and me alone. That dream was the turning point of my life. It no longer mattered that I hadn't yet achieved my dreams of becoming a writer. I actually didn't care whether I had to stay in a dead-end job for the rest of my life. No kidding. I just wanted to be wherever God wanted me in order to accomplish whatever He wanted me to do. As it turns out, He did have other plans for me, but that's another story. And that was Eric's story, The Dream of the Golden Fish, and it's not the story that I was thinking of. The story I'm thinking of, the fish had a golden coin in its mouth. Can't remember where but it's a different story, but this one was kind of good. Look, guys, I think we've got maybe 4 or 5 stories left in this book, and we'll be done with this book. Then we'll have to find something else to read. But that was today's story, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little long and kind of boring, I think. Got a lot of big words in it, and just, we've had better ones out of the book, I think. But another soul saved, that makes me happy. He went from being a non-believer to being truly devoted to God in his life. So that makes the story and the big words and everything all worthwhile to me. And I hope it does to you as well. So let's bring those souls to Jesus, guys. And God willing, I'll see you guys soon with another story. Bye, guys. God bless.